Playtime Co. was once a thriving toy factory, until one day, very mysteriously, every employee vanished. What sinister and dark secrets are hiding within this factory? Well, today, we find out. Hello viewers, my name is Tericho and welcome to my channel where I explore, explain and expand upon the darkest worlds in video games. Today we're looking at chapter 1 of Poppy Playtime. The first chapter of this new horror game that released is full of secrets and hidden messages, but as usual I'm here to explain them for you. Our story centers around Playtime Co. This giant factory was described as once being the king of the toy manufacturing industry, until one day everybody mysteriously vanished. You play as an unknown protagonist, an ex-employee of Playtime Co. You finally return to the factory many years after everyone disappeared. The protagonist receives a letter and a VHS tape.
You are about to see the most incredible doll ever invented. Her name is Poppy, and she is the first truly intelligent doll in the world. A little girl can talk to her. Poppy gives her answers. She is the first doll actually able to have a conversation with a child. Hard to believe? Just watch.
Poppy Playtime! Poppy's as lovable as a real girl, and she talks like one too.
Hi, my name is Poppy. I love you. Can you help me polish my shoes?
Why, of course, Poppy. Just like a real girl, Poppy always wants to look her best.
Perfect! Thank you.
Her hair is sturdy and won't come out when you brush it, and smells just like a poppy flower. Is there anything else you'd like to say, Poppy?
I'm a real girl, just like you.
What's the time?
Playtime!
And if you've ever wanted to see how all of the nation's favorite toys were created, Playtime Co. is now offering factory tours at just $2.99 a person. An entire hour in the most magical toy factory on Earth. What are you waiting for? Come visit the factory. We can't...
The letter reads, "Everyone thinks the staff disappeared 10 years ago. We're still here. Find the flower." The flower is a poppy, which coincides with the VHS tape which showed this image of this door with a giant poppy painted around it. Very interestingly though, the note has a number of errors within. Disappeared is misspelt and Weir has the apostrophe placed in the wrong place, a subtle hint at who could have written this letter. The protagonist then finds themselves in the welcome center of the factory. To the right is a gift shop which appears to have been ransacked. There are a number of empty toy boxes, but more mysteriously, there is one toy covered in blood. Back in the lobby, the protagonist finds another VHS tape. He places this in the VHS player and is greeted with a welcome message. This message is a warning telling everybody to keep out of the factory. The tape explains that there are a number of safety measures, hidden laser tripwires that will call the police, which is described as being the most tame safety measure. Not deterred by this, the protagonist continues to find this grab pack. Hidden away in a locked room, the protagonist finds this grab pack with another VHS tape which explains how to use it. The grab pack is another invention of Playtime Co. It allows staff members to grab things from far away, helping with their productivity. It also explains that the grab pack is very dangerous and should not be used on other staff members. The grab pack allows the protagonist to enter through this door. There he is confronted with the Playtime Co. mascot, the Huggy Wuggy. The plaque below Huggy Wuggy reads as follows: Playtime Co. has designed hundreds of distinct toys, but none connected with people more than that of Huggy Wuggy. Our founder, Elliot Ludwig, aimed to create a toy which could hug you forever. As is always true, Playtime Co.'s 4-step process to creating the most lifelike toys was a success. With a bit of string and polyester, our lovable blue pal Huggy was brought to life. Huggy Wuggy has gone on to be Playtime Co.'s most popular and best-selling toy so far. This plaque lays the foundation of the hints that we're going to find later on in the story. Some of the word choices on this plaque are very interesting. Playtime Co.'s 4-step process creating the most lifelike toys, and on the second part, our blue pal Huggy was brought to life. Could these be subtle hints at what happened here? The protagonist tries to open this door which short circuits. Mysteriously, the yellow key appears in Huggy Wuggy's hand, a key that the protagonist just so happens to need. The protagonist then uses the grab pack to restore power to this area. We see yet another toy that appears to be covered in blood, except this time it appears that the blood has come from the toy. But even more worryingly, the giant doll that we just saw seems to have disappeared. The protagonist finds themselves in the warehouse area of the factory. A mysterious arm retreats through this door. The third VHS tape explains how this factory was very understaffed. Many of the employees were very lazy, and many of the safety measures weren't taken seriously. The third VHS tape explains that there is a crane, which the protagonist finds 4 batteries in order to operate. The crane releases the second hand of the grab pack, giving the protagonist access to 2 hands now. After solving some puzzles, they find themselves in the make-a-friend area of the factory. This giant machine is described as the most creative, impressive, and advanced invention of Elliot Ludwig, the founder of Playtime Co. All this machine needs is to be fed the proper parts, and it will paint, assemble, and quality inspect the toy all on its own, taking away the need for so many employees. The protagonist is locked in this area, and there is a sign that says you can only leave if you have a toy, but once again, the machine doesn't have power. We also learn that Playtime Co. was involved in the foster and adoptive care of orphan children. This poster explains how the foster and adoptive care initiative strives to create permanency in the lives of orphan children. It ends saying every child deserves a chance at a new life. The protagonist then restores power to the machine, but while doing so, finds the 4th VHS tape. The 4th VHS tape is an employee interview, and the employee is explaining how they loved being a child and loved playing with toys. But they also go on to explain how they find it very sad that life is temporary. Before you know it, you grow up and you're an adult. And even further to that, nobody is permanent. They explain how some trees can live for hundreds of years, and there are trees that are alive that have been around longer than every person alive today. The interviewer cuts them short, but it seems like this person has a keen interest in the prolonging of childhood or the prolonging of life. With the power restored, the protagonist activates the machine, which collects all the separate parts of a toy, paints them, and assembles them right before your eyes. Mysteriously though, as the toy is completed, it's scanned by the machine. It's not entirely clear what the machine is scanning for, but it seems like a very odd practice for this machine. The protagonist then places the toy in this pedestal, which once again scans it. With the machine happy that the player now has a toy, the protagonist continues on. However, before they can advance any further, they are attacked. The giant Huggy Wuggy from earlier seems to have come alive and begins to chase the protagonist. The protagonist is forced to flee through these conveyor belt tunnels, Huggy Wuggy always close behind. While being chased, the protagonist can see these messages scrawled on the wall. They all say, "No, danger, stop, turn around." It's not clear why Huggy Wuggy wants to chase the protagonist so desperately, although it could be because he wants to give them a hug, as that was what Huggy Wuggy was designed for. Give you a hug, forever. After narrowly avoiding this monstrous toy, the protagonist used the grab pack to drop this box and causing Huggy Wuggy to fall. Again, mysteriously, as this toy hits the metal, you can see blood splatters appear below. Something is not quite right about this living toy. The protagonist then finds the final VHS tape, which explains that there is somebody doing experiments. This person is known as the scientist, and they were clearly doing some form of experiment with the toys here. The scientist explains how people wouldn't understand, but it needs to happen, science needs to go on. We then find the Poppy door with these toys strung up outside. There had been many warnings and messages on the walls saying no, danger, turn around. Inside looks like a child's room or a dollhouse. We see this room that is clearly for a child. It has toys, cushions, and a dollhouse. There is also a door that appears to have been barricaded, although it's not entirely clear what's behind it. At the end of the corridor we find this room. Inside we can find Poppy, who appears to be sleeping with a soothing melody playing in the background. The protagonist uses the grab pack to open the case, which brings the doll alive. Poppy, now woken up, says, "You opened my case." The lights flicker and the protagonist is plunged into darkness. That's the end of Chapter 1. So that's the basics of the story in Chapter 1. The game is clearly hinting that the staff members are still here, and I think it's pretty obvious that the staff members are inside these dolls. I don't think it's any coincidence that these dolls are described as being living. I think that something went wrong, and I have a theory about that I'll cover in another video. That being said, this is just Chapter 1, and while I already have a number of theories, we still have other chapters to play, which I'm sure will explain more of the story. If you want to make sure that you don't miss my theories on this game, which will be coming out shortly, make sure you hit subscribe today. And if you really enjoyed this video, hit the notification bell as well. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time.